Welcome all to this virtual event presenting to you Chestnut Retreat Center, a Hizmet institution co-hosted by Monroe County United and Chestnut Retreat Center. My name is Bushra, and I am a local to Saylorsburg. My family and I have been involved with Chestnut Retreat Center for about 20 years now. And we would have loved to host this event in person and sit with all of you around a common table, but obviously circumstances will not allow for that at the moment, but we're trying to make the most of this. And I want to also, sorry, I'm going to go back because I missed to say something, but I also want to thank Monroe County United for the hard work they put into preparing this presentation. And to conclude the part about myself, I am a mother to an 8-month-old beautiful little girl, and I'm also currently a master's student. And in the next few minutes, you'll hear my voice presenting to you what CRC is. And also I'll be using CRC and Chestnut Retreat Center interchangeably, and I'm going to say it quite often, so I'm sorry if it gets a bit annoying. Later, I will give you a brief overview of Chestnut Retreat Center, its history, followed by an introduction to the primary resident, Mr. Fethullah Gülen, who lives in the Retreat Center, and as well as the Hizmet movement, which you'll understand is essentially the ideals that CRC has been built upon. So, Chestnut Retreat Center, you may have formerly known it as the Golden Generation Retreat Center, and it has recently underwent a name change and is also undergoing some more renovations to its website and social media platforms. It was founded by American Turkish Muslims who live in the New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania regions back in 1993. And as I said, it was inspired by the ideals of the Hizmet movement. CRC is a nonprofit organization that organizes educational programs, offers a space for spiritual development and religious activities. That provides community services to both the Hizmet community and the larger community. CRC also organizes interfaith and intercultural programs. So as I said, it has a history of about 27 years. And from 1993 to 1999, so for about 6 years, it served primarily as a summer camp to students who came and took classes in the sciences and spirituality. 1999 was a turning point for the center where, with the arrival of Mr. Fethullah Gülen, it started serving more as a retreat center and welcoming visitors who came to see Mr. Gülen from all around the world on a reservation basis. If you've ever visited the center, or even drove by it, you may have realized that there is a gated entrance. So there are also security guards. And if you're questioning the reason behind this, I'm gonna try to briefly talk about it. I don't know how familiar you are with the events going on in Turkey, but in 2016, there was a staged coup, which the Turkish government has chosen Mr. Gülen as a scapegoat to some other illegal activities. And therefore, CRC has been receiving some threats related to it. Mr. Gülen has persistently denied any involvement and has condemned the coup even as it was happening. However, the threats can continue. Therefore, in 2016, a security agency was hired, and the number of visitors have also decreased, but currently visitors are only accepted on a reservation basis. So I've said Fethullah Gülen a few times, and if you're not familiar with who he is, among many things, he is a Muslim scholar, preacher, and social advocate whose decades-long commitment to education, altruistic community service, and interfaith harmony has inspired millions around the world. He is described as one of the world's most important Muslim figures and has reinterpreted aspects of the Islamic tradition according to the Quran and prophetic traditions to meet the needs of contemporary Muslims. He has dedicated his life to interfaith and intercultural dialogue, community service, and providing access to quality education. There are over 1,700 Hizmet inspired schools around the world in over 170 countries. And they give education in English and also the mother tongue of the regions that they have been built in. Mr. Gulen was also the first influential Muslim public figure to publicly condemn the 9/11 attacks and express sympathy for the American people. Gulen has advocated for the education of women and advocated for their empowerment, a progressive view that stands in contrast to the views of more literalist Islamic leaders. Gulen rejuvenated the Turkish tradition of interfaith dialogue and strongly advocates pro-democracy, equal opportunity, pro-science, nonviolent religious, cultural, nonviolent stances. One of the core tenets of his teachings is the celebration of religious, cultural, social, and political diversity. Gulen considers this diversity divine will, and he has a famous saying, and I quote, "You must have a seat for every person in your heart." Gulen's lifelong work on interfaith cooperation has earned him recognition from Christian and Jewish leaders in his homeland, Turkey, and a personal audience with the late Pope John Paul II. He is also the recipient of New York-based East-West Institute's 2011 Peace Award. His efforts have also been praised by other global leaders who recognize his vital role in fostering mutual understanding and peace, as well as his leadership in humanitarian initiatives. In 2008, Gulen was ranked among top 100 in Foreign Policy and Prospect magazine's joint poll of the top 100 public intellectuals. In April 2015, he was awarded the 2015 Gandhi King Aikida Peace Award by Martin Luther King Jr. International Chapel at Morehouse College in recognition of his lifelong dedication to promoting peace and human rights. You are welcome to visit his official website, fgulen.com, for more information about Mr. Gulen and the ideals that he stands for and his history and vision. There's also another resource I can recommend. It is a documentary by Terry Spencer called Love is a Verb that you can access on YouTube. And the references I make, my friend will be posting links to in the chat box, so you're welcome to visit that. Now, I've also said the Hizmet movement quite a few times, and if you're not familiar with it, Hizmet is a Turkish term which quite literally means service. So the Hizmet movement is centered on serving humanity. Hizmet is a transnational civil society initiative that advocates for the ideals of human rights, equal opportunity, democracy, nonviolence, and the emphatic acceptance of religious and cultural diversity. It began in Turkey as a grassroots community in the 70s, and over the years, it has transformed into a wider social effort around the world where participants come from all walks of life. They are culturally, geographically, linguistically, and religiously diverse. Hizmet's work centers on promoting philanthropy and community service, investing in education for cultivating virtuous individuals, organizing intercultural and interfaith dialogue for peaceful coexistence. And now, in order to give you a more concise understanding of Hizmet, we will be showing you a short video about 2 minutes long that was created by a Hizmet organization.
Fethullah Gulen was born in the east part of Turkey. He inspired fellow citizens in mobilizing around the cause of providing access to quality education, and by inspiring the establishment of scholarships, free tutoring centers, college prep courses, schools, and student hostels for all, regardless of socioeconomic status, ethnic, or religious background.
The Hizmet movement that Mr. Gulen has inspired is phenomenal. It's a way of saying to, not just to Muslims, but to non-Muslims especially, here's who we are, here's what we need to do.
Hizmet participants have expanded education opportunities around the world, from Central Asia to South Africa, from Australia to the Balkans and Americas.
What Fethullah Gulen and the movement have done is to offer a model for Muslims around the entire planet of how to be thoroughly world citizens, thoroughly citizens of the 21st century, and at the same time deeply Muslim. It's hard to overestimate how important that task is.
Hizmet also rejuvenated the tradition of interfaith dialogue and strongly advocates pro-democracy, equal opportunity, pro-science, non-violent stances. One of the core tenets of his teachings is the celebration of religious, cultural, social, and political diversity.
We live in a world that is full of fear, and a lot of fear in the West is fear of Muslims. The Hizmet movement has been tremendously effective, in my opinion, in showing the true face of Islam, that it's a religious tradition that in many ways is no different than Judaism or Christianity.
Humanitarian aid is an important component of the Hizmet movement, which is represented by the Embrace Relief in the U.S. that organizes the aid efforts through opening water wells and performing cataract surgeries in Africa, and also reaching out to the disaster-stricken zones around the world. One of the core ideals of Hizmet is not just an emphatic acceptance of religious, cultural, social, and political diversity, but actual celebration of this diversity. Because Hizmet participants consider this diversity as divine will.
This is the attempt to celebrate all of humanity, and I think that's why Hizmet is different from other religious groups.
The video was very self-explanatory, but I do just want to add that I know the last interviewee denoted Hizmet as a religious group, but Hizmet is not only a religious effort, it is open to every person who shares its core values, regardless of whether their values are rooted in Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Hindu, Buddhist, agnostic, or any other faith. Now, lastly, I will present to you guys some more resources to get to know Mr. Gulen and the Hizmet movement more in detail. Two that I can point out is a book by John Paul called Fethullah Gulen, A Life of Hizmet, and also a book by Mohammed Chetin called The Gulen Movement. And in fact, the author of the second book, Mohammed Chetin, was invited to attend this event tonight, and he has thankfully accepted. And now I will hand it over to our outreach coordinator at CRC, Mr. Ali, who will present to you and introduce you to some other aspects of CRC.
Hello, everybody. Before I start introducing myself, I thank Bushra for such a beautiful presentation. To talk a bit about myself, my name is Ali. I serve as the outreach coordinator for the CRC, Chestnut Retreat Center. I also do my PhD in Islamic Studies and Christian-Muslim Relations at Hartford Seminary in Connecticut. I live in Pen Argyl. I have been involved with the activities of the CRC for almost 6 years. I am also one of many students of Mr. Gulen. So in my presentation, I will give you an insider view. You might be wondering, what is inside the CRC? CRC has gone through some renovations during the last decade. Currently, as you see in the pictures, we have a bunch of buildings, 2 central buildings and 8 guest houses. In addition to the buildings, CRC is also blessed with natural beauty. The question arises though, how do we use these buildings? There are some misconceptions about what goes on behind the doors at CRC, but we have always been and will always be transparent about its function. We can categorize the activities of CRC into the following groups. First, accommodation for the guests. Second, education of the community. Third, dialogue and civic engagement. And finally, social responsibility projects. In the remaining part of my presentation, I will be talking about these activities of the CRC. In terms of the accommodation, Each guest house has around 5 guest rooms that can host a few people or a small family. The pictures you see here are only some examples of the rooms. The picture at the right bottom side is of a kitchen. Each guest house has a small kitchen functioning like a cafeteria for the guests to brew their coffee, to make tea, or to heat their foods. The guests usually stay 1 or 2 weeks. The majority of the guests are the participants of the Hizmet movement. Many non-participants also visit the center and stay a few days for various reasons, such as retreat, participating in the activities, and visiting Mr. Gülen. CRC has one large commercial kitchen and a dining room. The guests eat the dinner and breakfast at the dining room that you see in the picture. With the accommodation, the body was satisfied. Now is the time to feed the mind and the soul. In Mr. Gülen's philosophy, education is vital. It is the elixir of many problems. If you educate people and yourself, you free your mind from many misunderstandings, and in the case of Muslims, many Muslims, from radicalism. Mr. Gülen also believes in harmony between religion and science. For that reason, the educational activities at CRC revolve around Mr. Gülen's this philosophy. He is like an emeritus professor. He is always active in teaching. The most important educational activity that CRC has is what we call halaka, the study circle. I can talk about the study circle an hour, but now I will leave you with a short clip, 1 minute, in which you will find some information on the study circle.
Of the many things about Islamic scholar Fethullah Gülen, very little is known about an activity he partakes in every day, teaching. Gülen has been teaching students for decades. However, many are not aware of what he teaches, whom he teaches, and how he teaches. Teaching daily, 7 days a week, Gülen teaches mainly classical Islamic texts, mostly written in the Arabic language, to a group of students, mainly graduates in Islamic studies from different backgrounds, numbering more than 25, at the Golden Generation Retreat Center in Pennsylvania. There is an air of reverence and respect, with the students sitting on the ground, following a very traditional approach. And at the same time, with search engines and projector screens, it is hard to categorize this teaching methodology as classical or modern.
So I am one of the students you see in the video. So probably you are not able to see me personally, but I was there. So in the circle, in addition to classical Arabic texts, some other books on psychology, sociology, philosophy, and science have been summarized and discussed by the students. In addition to the study circle, Halka, Gülen also gives weekly sermons, depending on his health, on Fridays and Sundays. Not only the guests who currently stay at CRC attend these sermons, but also the people, mostly sympathizers of Mr. Gülen, who lives close to the center, also attend. You may attend to these sermons too. Just keep in mind that you need to make reservation, and also the sermons are in Turkish. Now I want to show you the website where the sermons of Mr. Gülen are published. It's called Herkul. So this website is in Turkish as well as in English. You can check it out in English too, even though the English site is continuing to improve. It is not as rich as the Turkish. One other special kind of sermon Mr. Gülen gives is for the youth. Once a month, the youth of the Hizmet movement come to attend a sermon of Mr. Gülen. They ask questions such as how to be thoroughly Muslims and also be a part of this larger society. The educational activities do not end with the study circle and sermons. People also come together in small groups to have book discussions. Additionally, CRC arranges weekend and summer schools for the kids of the people of the Hizmet movement who live close by. These summer schools are mostly on math and science, yet spiritual sciences, arts, music, and sport are also part of the curriculum. Now I will briefly introduce you to the places from the center that we use for these activities. These two pictures are of the prayer hall. 5 daily prayers, Friday prayer, and Eid prayers, meaning festival prayers, are conducted in this hall. The study circle, halakha, and sermons are also carried out in the same hall. In the next slide, the pictures are conference and multi-purpose halls. The Ramadan and Thanksgiving dinners are carried out in the multi-purpose hall you see in the right side. In this slide, the next one, the first picture is the additional prayer room. To the left, when the congregation is crowded, this place is a help. The second picture is of a reading and study room with a small library. This room is used by small gatherings to have book discussions. As I said before, CRC is blessed with natural beauty. It has a lake and a small walking trail around the lake. In addition, the open field you see in the picture is used for picnics and other recreational activities. There might be some misconceptions that these people live in isolation, but is this really the case? The truth is that CRC has been very active in terms of outreach and civic engagement. Every year, it organizes Thanksgiving and Ramadan dinners. Some of you may have attended these dinners. All the neighbors and friends are invited to these events. Next time you see a post about a dinner here, just come. You will not regret it, I assure you. Other activities that we organize at the center are annual picnics for the community and for the American, larger society, and interfaith prayers. And the last one was with MCU, co-hosted by MCU. With these events, CRC opens its doors to the larger society. However, you are always welcome, but the entrance is based on reservation due to capacity and safety. CRC also encourages its volunteers to visit other organizations to bond friendships and harmonious relationships. For years, CRC has shown efforts to coordinate social responsibility projects. With its commercial kitchen, CRC tries to do its best to help the needy in the society. For this, CRC collaborates with the food pantries around to distribute the food to the needy. The people of CRC are also actively involved in voluntary works wherever volunteers are needed. The time we are living in is different and challenging. They call it a new normal. People and organizations try to find out ways to adapt to this new normal. In this end, CRC currently conducts its activities as much as possible in the virtual platforms. Unfortunately, no visitor is accepted to the CRC. Nowadays, the center is a bit quiet. CRC upholds the CDC guidelines and believe that being precautionary is vital in these trying times. For that reason, this summer, large gatherings such as Friday prayers, Ramadan Eid prayer, and Eid al-Adha prayer were not performed in large gatherings. The prayer halls are not used. They eagerly wait to host the regular activities of education, prayer, and supplication. We hope this virus goes away soon. I personally hope that. And we go back to the regular normal. These trying times once again reminded us of the importance of humanitarian aid activities. For this, CRC accelerated charity activities. In the next slide, you will see some pictures illustrating our response to COVID-19. Around 400 meals were distributed to the hospitals, 250 meals to the post offices, 1,000 meals to the food pantries, and 1,000 masks were also distributed to several places. You can check it out on our Facebook page. Before I conclude the presentation, I'm going to show you the picture of Mr. Gulen's private room and the hall where he hosts his guests and visitors. The reason I put this here is because some people might be thinking that Gulen lives a luxurious life. These are two images of the rooms he uses, and he makes sure to pay rent for both the rooms and everything he uses at the center. His income is mainly from the publishing royalties of his books. Before I conclude my presentation, the next slide is vitally important because it summarizes our vision, the vision of the CRC. So I'll read it as a whole. CRC envisions a society in which everybody is respected for who they are. People live in peace. Everybody is included. The poor and needy are taken care of. People of different backgrounds can have friendly conversations in peace. CRC believes in the importance of celebrating the commonalities and respecting the differences. CRC also believes in the importance of universal values, such as solidarity, peace, human rights, equality, respect, so on and so forth. So if you want to learn more about the CRC, there are a bunch of options that you can do. You can give us a call at 570-902-7676. You can give us a visit, but in this case, don't forget to make RSVP. You may email us at info@chestnutretreatcenter.org. You may also reach to me as the outreach coordinator at aliak, ALIAK, @chestnutretreatcenter.org. And also you can follow us via our website, chestnutretreatcenter.org, and our social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. At the end of my presentation, I would like to thank you all for attending and being part of this event. I also want to thank MCU for co-hosting and working really hard in the preparation of this event. I believe such events are vital to build a stronger society together. Thank you.
Thank you. Keep your eye open for our next Monroe County United, whose motto is building relationships, breaking barriers. Keep your eye out for our next online program. With COVID, we're just trying to develop online programs, which will continue the work of Monroe County United. And really appreciate your attendance tonight and I guess interest in the program that Monroe County United and Chestnut Retreat Center developed together. Thank you very much.
I just want to quickly add that MCU was the brain behind this event. They asked for us to introduce ourselves, and we're very thankful that they provided this platform for us. This has been great, but we are looking forward, hopefully, to welcome you all in person to Chestnut Retreat Center and give you a live presentation of the things that you've seen in this presentation tonight. And thank you all again for coming, and everyone else with MCU who has put so much into this. And have a great night.